Hey, it's Zdroik. Welcome to a new week of DFS soccer style, RotoWire soccer style. This one will be Wednesday. Crystal Palace home against Manchester United. We got some other FA Cup action. There's really only showdowns for midweek at DraftKings. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, it's just full on showdowns at DraftKings. Looks like we also have an FA Cup one between Leeds and Cardiff on Wednesday as well. Currently got the Wolves and Liverpool match going on as I speak. But this one, Crystal Palace, home against Manchester United. First time these teams have played this season. This is, I think this is rescheduled from earlier this season because of transportation issues or something like that for Crystal Palace. But this is the second match of the week of game week 20. So we got Crystal Palace, 21% chance to win. Manchester United away, 54% chance to win, coming off the win in the Manchester Derby. Manchester United 1.7 implied, 1.05 for Crystal Palace. So pretty short there on the clean sheet chance, 36% for DDG. As we look into the expected 11s, moved out Martial, he didn't train last week, ended up starting in the Derby, and then he only went 45 because he's just not healthy. I don't think he's going to start. I don't think Dalot is going to come back in there either. So the question is, are we going to get Luke Shaw playing at center back again, or is it going to be Luke Shaw at left back? And that's kind of what that's a small question. I guess we'll say Luke Shaw played center back against Man City with Malacia at left back there. So, this probably isn't a huge deal, but just something to keep an eye on. Another thing of note, Christian Eriksen played in an attacking role for most of the Derby. We had Casemiro and Fred in the midfield in that one. We'll see what happens. We could get Ten Hag did say he kind of liked Bruno playing on the right wing in that match. We'll see if that happens. Again, if Martial doesn't start, maybe that doesn't happen. So we'll see what we get. Garnacho maybe on the left side. Antony maybe back in the starting 11 on the right side. Otherwise, if Eriksen was again an attacking midfielder, maybe Bruno moves to the left side or Antony moves to the left side. We'll see. This isn't a huge deal here, but as for Crystal Palace, they don't really change too many things up. We'll see if Joachim Anderson is back. He left early over the weekend. If he's not ready to go, it's probably going to be Joel Ward or James Tompkins playing center back. So I think that's pretty relevant for Crystal Palace. But just the injuries to keep an eye on. In terms of this matchup, it's an interesting one, I'll say. So I think I'm going to go with the under. We see the implied total here is 2.75. In terms of betting, I'm coming off the best betting EPL betting weekend I've probably ever had here. So probably going to be some incorrect calls on my part coming up because the winning just can't continue like that. But 2.75. The one thing I'm interested about here is I was kind of overrating Crystal Palace a bit. Maybe in recent weeks, I just thought that they're a team that was kind of battling against the top teams, and then look at their results, and it's like, well, maybe that was more last season. Even though Crystal Palace are 12th in the table, I just look before the show. I was looking through their league results, and it's just not. There just hasn't been there for them. So I'll read through their 5 wins. Home against Aston Villa, they won 3-1. That was early in the season. 2-1 against the Leeds. 2-1 against the Wolves pre-Lopetegui. 1-0 against Southampton. And then 2-1 they won at West Ham just before the World Cup break. They got a stoppage time goal. And then a couple weeks ago, they won at Bournemouth. So really, the results just aren't. Who are they beating? Half the teams they beat, the team no longer has the same manager. And then the other wins are Leeds and Bournemouth and West Ham at the last minute. So those are Crystal Palace's wins. I thought they were maybe a little better than that, but I think they're a better team overall last season. They're extremely inconsistent this season. But on the other side of that, we look at what Manchester United have done. It's like, okay, they're playing great, top four. They just beat Manchester City. You look at what they've done in recent matches, and then you pull up what they've done away from home this season. I'll just be looking at the league games here. So away from home this season, 1-0 at Southampton, 1-0 at Leicester City. These are only their wins. I mean, I could be looking at their losses. They have the Manchester City, Brentford losses in here, 3-1, loss against Aston Villa just before the break, but few more wins for them. 2-1 at Everton, 2-1 at Fulham, where, again, this is a stoppage time goal they got. And then more recently, 1-0 at Wolverhampton. So really, what are we going to do with these numbers? I think that Crystal Palace are going to be a little bit underrated because we just have Manchester United coming in off a high, off the Derby win, and off a bunch of wins, really, when you look at it. And then Crystal Palace, they haven't really been playing that well. I read through the results, but maybe something more should be put on to Manchester United away from home. So let's get into DFS here. So for cash games, it is. I don't even have DraftKings up at the moment, so let me get that up. For the cash games, Manchester United showdowns are always, I don't know if I want to say the dumbest thing, but pretty difficult because, you got Christian Eriksen here who takes pretty much all set pieces, and then he takes away from whatever floor that Bruno Fernandes had in the past. So, and then we have the Luke Shaw situation where he's a center back or when he's a or left back. Like look at Luke Shaw's numbers from center back to left back. They're not actually that much different. I know, like, you have a few more crosses, but just in terms of the overall numbers, I mean, he's not crossing as much, but he's also making more interceptions, winning more tackles, which adds to his floor a little bit. So, I mean, of course, he didn't have the floor there against Man City, but clearly, if Luke Shaw is at left back, I actually think that he is the top captain in cash games. If Luke Shaw isn't at left back, again, we're going to know this by who else is starting. It seems like Harry Maguire is going to be loaned out somewhere or he's going to go somewhere else. So we don't have to deal with him, but I think it's going to be Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane. If those guys are in there, Shaw will probably be at left back. If it's again Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Malacia, then Luke Shaw will be center back. And I think that's what you have to pay attention to. If we get Luke Shaw at left back, I think that really just allows you to make a pretty easy cash build. So with Luke Shaw, you're going to want Bruno. Should we call him Fernandez or should we call him Fernandes? We'll see what happens in this match, but let's just call him Bruno here. We got Bruno and Eriksen. And then we can plug in, actually, this lineup, I actually put in Zaha in here. Zaha has been fine. If you really just want full set pieces, so Shaw captain, you can get Bruno, you can get Elise, you can get Eze, you can get Eriksen. So you got all 4 set piece takers in this match with Shaw captain, and then you have 5,900 for your final spot, which is, at this point, you're looking at maybe Malacia's right back or Wan-Bissaka again. Wan-Bissaka is 5,400. It's going to leave you some money, but you're just playing a full back here in the spot, and Wan-Bissaka has been, after not being in favor of Ten Hag in the season, he's playing well. He's getting minutes and he's playing well. So that's a pretty straightforward cash build as long as Luke Shaw's in at left back. If he's not at left back, let's see what we can do. That's where it gets a little more difficult because do you want to captain Eriksen? Then you look at Eriksen's numbers. It's a short week. He hasn't gone more than 77 minutes in each of the last 4 matches. And his floor in those games just hasn't looked that good. If he's in an attacking role, maybe it helps a little bit, but how much does that help? You look at his numbers here. Really, he hasn't topped a floor of 7 points in these last 4 games. How many corners do you think Manchester United are going to get this spot against Crystal Palace? I think it's just going to be pretty. I think it's just going to be kind of an ugly match, really. A lot of Manchester United away matches have been ugly this season, and then Crystal Palace are in a situation where they don't really want to lose another game. But let's see what we can do with the Christian Eriksen captain. I don't like it that much, but okay. It's okay. So we got Ericsson, we got Bruno, we got Elise, we got Eze, and you're left with 10.6 to 10.6K here. I mean, in this situation, like Luke Shaw's a center back, so we don't want him. We could technically plug in Malacia and Wan-Bissaka, and holy cow, you got $0 remaining salary. So this might actually be the most popular build in cash games. So there you go. I just gave that one to you, Erickson captain, and then fill in the set piece takers with fullbacks. Um, nothing really to it. That's kind of easy. So yeah, if that's what you want to do, again, I don't know if I'm gonna have an Erickson captain. Even if I play cash games and showdowns, I don't know if I want Erickson captain. 65 minutes from Erickson and three corners. Is it worth it? I don't think it is. On the other side of that, if you captain like a Bruno, obviously you're not going to be able to do the same lineup. Instead of Erickson, you'll have to do, I don't know, anyone else really. Martial, as long as you still want the fullbacks in there. So that's the look in cash games. I mean, you could go the Crystal Palace side, but how many set pieces are Crystal Palace going to get? Let's see how many corners Manchester United allow. I guess they allow a decent amount according to the numbers. I mean, this is a 18 game sample size. Away from home, Manchester United allow 5.56 corners per match. At home, Crystal Palace allow 4.11. So, I mean, it doesn't mean too much, but just in terms of the matchup, you got to think that maybe there's only 4 or 5 set pieces for these Crystal Palace guys. But again, how many set pieces are there for the Manchester United guys? I think this is just going to be an ugly match. So maybe, like, if you can make a better lineup with Olise captain, I would do that. In terms of Crystal Palace here, what do we want to do with them? In terms of their front four, we'll see if they switch something up. I mean, Vieira really hasn't done a lot of changes. I feel like it's been, I don't know about in cup play, but these lineups have been, he's pretty much stuck with this group. It's kind of been a 4-2-3-1 for the last few weeks since the World Cup break. IU and Zaha maybe switch between, uh, I guess Zaha's switched between the left wing and playing as a central striker. Again, this is something you can't really project. So I don't know if it's even worth it to talk about. I mean, we can look at IU, and he's had some good floors here because, he's drawn. At one point, he drew 12 fouls across 3 matches. So, I mean, you could look at that, but he's not really a cash play. Over the last, I don't know, half of the 2 months, I'd say. I mean, we can look at the floor numbers for these guys. Elise is up here, Eze is right behind him. But I mean, you click into Eze, and a lot of the reason he has a good floor is because earlier in the season he was getting more corners because Olisa wasn't playing as much, and now without that dominant role on corners, the numbers just haven't been there. And then you throw in that Elise seems more likely to play longer. It just feels like if you're deciding between the two, I mean, Elise is more expensive, but Elise is a pretty clear play. If you're looking for a Crystal Palace captain, that's your guy right there in cash games. So that's my thought on that situation. If you're leaning to the home side, so for tournaments, I mean, we look at the odds on this cheat sheet here, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 2-day trial, no credit card required. And then once you're in, rotowire.com/chat, get into our Discord. We've been heavy on Liga MX. Jack is saying would rather captain Bruno for open play and PKs. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, kind of what I was saying there, but it just the Ericsson lineup, it kind of builds itself. You end with the zero salary with Bruno captain. You're getting the 90 maybe set pieces in the final 20 minutes kind of a thing. So I do prefer Bruno, but there will be plenty of people that captain Christian Eriksen. So in tournaments, there's a lot of things we can do. Bruno's going to be popular. Rashford is going to be popular. Whoever starts for United there, Anthony, these guys are all going to be up there. You got to think, even though the odds look like this, I mean, 36% chance, it's not great, but we could see like De Gea, what, 8% captain, depending on where you're playing. I'd say anywhere between 6 and 10% for De Gea captain. I mean, people are going to look at his numbers and be like, whoa, he's what, winning clean sheet in however many, coming off the Manchester City win, topped 16 points in 4 of the last 5 games. There's going to be plenty of De Gea captainers out there. And I guess we can play for another 1-0 win. I guess that is the situation. And if we're going with I thought earlier, what I was saying earlier, going to be a little more defensive, and there's not going to be a ton of opportunity. So if we have a match here, if there's 10 to 15 shots per team, ends 1-0 to either side. So in that situation, it seems like the goalkeepers may be the way to go. Again, I have not put these lineups together yet, but let's do it. So with De Gea captain, you just need the goal scorers. That's the main problem. De Gea is 11.1K captain, and so that is kind of expensive. So are you going to be able to fit Rashford, Bruno, and Antony in there? Because the problem you're getting with this is if you only select 2 of those guys, and you select the wrong one, you don't get the goal. So that's the worry here with De Gea being so pricey. But I mean, even then, I guess they're still worried about. We've seen Eriksen score, we've seen Casemiro score, so we've seen Fred score if he starts. But just with this lineup, we got 9,900 between the two. I mean, we could. Let's say I just play a fullback here. Let's just say Luke Shaw starts at left back. You got 4,100 left, and I don't know, just put in whoever. Just put in. Is Decore doing anything? Decore has an incredible 9 shots in the last 3 games. Sounds good enough for me. Okay, let's do it. There's your lineup. De Gea captain, Rashford, Bruno, Antony, Luke Shaw, and Decore, and you got your lineup. Kind of seems like this will be a popular one because you're just getting the 3 Manchester United guys. I haven't really talked about Garnacho, but it seems likely that the people who captain Rashford, Bruno, Antony, they're just going to plug Garnacho in because he's so cheap. So that'll be something to watch out for. Yeah, I mean, you could even captain Garnacho, I guess, if you want to go there. But I'm not sure I'm looking really to play Garnacho. I mean, how much is he going to do in this spot? Even if he gets a goal or assist, I don't know how he's going to have a floor of 3 points and play 60 minutes max. So I'm not sure how much I'm looking at him. But De Gea, I mean, there you go. That's pretty simple there. Let's see. Of course, we need a Guaita captain here. All right, Guaita. Let's see where he's at. 5K, 7,500 captain. So, I mean, it's a pretty massive difference between De Gea and Guaita here for captain. I guess 20% difference in clean sheet. So, this one, you got to decide how many of these Crystal Palace guys do you want. I mean, I talked about adding the top 3 attackers for Manchester United, minus Garnacho. I guess you can include him if you want. But so what do you want to do with Crystal Palace? Do you just want the Zaha PK goal? Do you want Olise and Eze? Those guys have been kind of better than Zaha lately. Or even IU. That's the difficult spot here because all of these guys, if you're playing for the 1-0 win for Crystal Palace, you got to get the correct goal because all right, let me just try this here. What am I missing here? Elise is up here. It's actually very easy to do this. Guaita captain, but obviously you don't want to do. Well, I mean, maybe not obvious, but you probably don't want to do 5-1 Crystal Palace build. That's the only problem here. So the problem is that Crystal Palace aren't going to get that many opportunities. Like they're not going to get more than 15 shots in this situation. A 1-0 win. They're not going to get that many opportunities. They're not going to dominate Manchester United in this spot. So, like, what's the point of playing all of these attackers? Because let's see here, you kind of just gotta. I'd say, I guess maybe I should have looked at this beforehand, but I guess you probably just go Zaha here. Let's just do a build with Zaha here, and then you get a lease for set pieces, and then you just hope that Eze and IU aren't the ones on the score sheet. And then you're running it back with Bruno. I don't even think you need Ericsson in this spot, really. If Antony starts, you could look at him. He's got a fine floor for without set pieces. Let me just double check what his floor has been here. Yeah, Antony's up here with a decent floor. He draws a lot of fouls, takes a lot of shots from outside the box. We could use Antony here. We could use Rashford in the hopes that he gets a bunch of shots on target. It's always possible. Let's just do Antony, and then you're left with about 5,700. So this Guaita captain, it doesn't seem like the easiest, the easiest thing to put together. Tyreek Mitchell, is it worth it to get Mitchell for a possible 6 points on a clean sheet? Maybe not. Do you want Decore? Schlupp almost had a goal last game. That game at Chelsea. Okay. Yeah, it's not really easy here. So, I mean, you could actually put in a Man United fullback in this situation. Wan-Bissaka or Malacia are right there. Nothing really stands out, though. Nothing. This is Gaeta, Zaha, Olise, Bruno, and an Antony. I guess if you want to take Antony out and put in Ericsson, that'll make it easier. Like you can put in Casemiro in that situation, and you're just banking on like an 8-point floor from Casemiro kind of a thing. So I mean, there's a few ways to go. There's not an obvious route for White to captain from what I can see. So the question is, who you want to get from Crystal Palace? Who's going to get that goal for Crystal Palace? Are you going to get the Zaha PK? Are you going to get Elise set piece to whoever? Maybe you can get the Elise to a center back, get the center back goal, get the clean sheet. That's a move more for the whatever the main contest is there. I usually only play center backs when it's a pretty big contest, multi-entry, 150 entry kind of a thing. So that's all I got here. This has been kind of a difficult one to talk about, but we made it. We made it. So I'm going to be leaning towards the Guaita and De Gea captains and kind of doing what I was talking about, trying to mix and match to whatever makes the most sense. Maybe I'll have getting like an IU solo goal isn't out of the realm of possibility here. So like Guaita captain with IU in there, and then you're getting a bunch of shots and whatever from Man United. Like that will be a pretty unique lineup because you got to think that anyone who goes Guaita will be going Zaha, will be going Olise, will be going with those bigger names there. IU will be the odd man out, even though he's cheaper. I mean, we can look at his numbers, and I mean that Chelsea match isn't much, but I mean, who's to say he's not going to be one of the guys getting on the score sheet here? So, let's just look at the odds here. Rashford best odds to score Zaha. I mean, these odds are stupid. These don't make sense. Okay, I get Zaha, but here, why is Eze plus 350 and Olise is plus 600? That doesn't make sense. That just means I'm gonna put some money on Olise to score at plus 600. So there you go. But pretty easy. Your cash games, go with your set piece takers, maybe plug in some fullbacks. I think this is just I don't I don't think this is a game where there's going to be a ton of goals. There's not been many situations where Crystal Palace have played in like an up and down game where things have been out of control. They outplayed Tottenham in their last home match in the first half, didn't score, and then they just lost it. They lost that one 4-0. Is that going to happen again? Maybe. Could happen again. They've lost their last two home games, 3-0 and 4-0. So, but really, I mean, this is a team that just doesn't get into like track meets that go up and down. Fier kind of wants to slow things down, kind of control matches. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to control it in this one. So I'd say 1-0. My projection here maybe 1-0. Manchester United kind of a thing. We'll get a late goal from Rashford from Casemiro, something stupid like that. So that's what I think will happen. But 1-0 Crystal Palace wouldn't be surprising either. But there you go. That's been Wednesday showdown. We got another one Thursday, Manchester City against Tottenham. Will that one be fun? I'm not sure if it will be fun or not. But thanks for watching. You can find me at Zdroik on Twitter. Again, you can find us in the Discord, rotowire.com/chat. And that's after you sign up for the 2-day trial and get a subscription, rotowire.com/soccer trial. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. And then we got Kits and Wagers betting show on Thursday. And then we got the 4-game preview on Friday for DraftKings. But see you around later. Good luck on the slate.